another edition of This Week, 60 minutes of analytical review of the big stories, topical issues and all the controversies around the world. I'm Somna Sambo. Coming up in 60 minutes, Governor David Umahi defects to the ruling All Progressives Congress, alleges neglect of the Southeast region by the party. As INEC chairman nominee, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu awaits Senate confirmation. There are allegations that he is bribing his way through. We have analysis. And President Buhari receives Salami-led judicial panel report on Magu. Begins search for new EFCC chairman. Plus, U.S. Democrats condemn President Trump's attempt to alter the vote in Michigan state as he tries to reverse his defeat in the election. Governor David Umahi's defection from the opposition People's Democratic Party, or PDP, to the ruling All Progressives Congress, or APC, is being seen by many as a staggering U-turn, having won the governorship election twice on the PDP's ticket. During the week, he gave reason for his discussion when he spoke with Charles Aniagolu on the Arise interview. Take a listen.
People felt that in that 2019, which the decision to zone that ticket to the north was agreed, 2015 against 2019. It was the feeling of the Southeast people that it was their turn. But circumstances and situation made them to agree to support a candidate from the north, with the opinion that that candidate, should he emerge victoriously, that he was going to do one tenure. And so when things started unfolding from 2019 to date, and I read the handwriting on the wall, and I started warning. First was the plan to remove all the working committee. And so we started agitation, about 6 months back. We had meetings and all kind of stuff. And then it dawned on me that the permutations and combinations would not favor Southeast. That Southeast will not even be allowed to even do vice presidential candidate of PDP. And so I decided to let them know, should we not decide on where this ticket of PDP would go, that I will not continue to support PDP.
State Governor David Umahi there. For more on this, I'm now being joined by Dr. Kachi Ononuju, who is a political strategist, and from our Overflow Studios by Agbo Major, the acting national chairman of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. Good to have you, Dr. Kachi.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you heard Governor Umahi saying some of the things that led to his decision. I mean, he was speaking with my colleague during the week, where he outlined some of the things which he deems as injustice that have been meted on the people of the Southeast. What are your views on these allegations?
It's very interesting. I normally do not like to analyze or start talking about a man's misfortune, but then every man's ambition to either seek freedom or to move to freer grounds in his own perception, it's very legitimate. I think Governor Umahi, it's in his rights to move away to any other party.
Yeah, but the issues he raised, which are
he didn't raise
about the Southeast.
No, he didn't say.
I mean, he said that even the party had to respond to his
allegations. Let me tell you what he said. Now, he said, from what I heard him say, he was trying to intone the internal problems he sees in the PDP. Why? He's a governor. Does he contribute to the party being looked after? If he doesn't contribute to the party being looked after, and he suspects Governor Wike does bring the bulk of the money, so he now suspects that Wike won't even let him, as he said, even get vice presidential. So that in itself paints a big picture about internal crisis in the PDP, because they say who he pays the piper seeks to distract the tune. I heard him, but I was looking at the undertone of what he was saying. He thinks Wike's influence, and that's why you saw Governor Wike reply him the next day. He's not the party. He shouldn't reply.
Right here on the
exactly.
Right, he replied.
He should have allowed the party to reply, but he felt a personal jibe at his overbearing ways, as Umahi suspects. So that tells you there is a problem. Why do I say this? The PDP should be a national political party, available to the moods of country and to be a vehicle to fix country. Not an article of trade to be grabbed by those with money and then you forget the national feelings. Why do I say this? Umahi is not the best person to make case for the Southeast. Why? He refused to help the Southeast situate a security architecture like the Southwest did Amotekun, all because he made promises to people in the APC. From his first term, he got into issues, and from the swearing in the second term, he kept telling people he has one leg in the PDP and another leg in the APC. So he's not the right person to make case for the Southeast.
All right, just
the
hold
Southeast
have
been well served by the People's Democratic Party. Don't forget that.
All right, just hold your thoughts. Let's get the view of Major Agbo. So, Major, here we have a governor, a sitting governor of the Southeast, actually saying that the Southeast has been unfairly treated by the PDP, who has harvested a lot of votes from that region since 1999. What are your views, though you are from another political party?
Well, it's a very interesting scenario we're watching. It's part of what is required to make our democracy to become stronger. First of all, I must acknowledge his right to move, like my counterpart has said. He has a right to move. The only unfortunate thing is that the only time you hear the cry louder, like you are seeing now, is when any of the bigger parties are affected by this gale of defections. In fact, the movement of a key person, especially a sitting governor, out of a political party, the platform through which he won an election, is not a joke. It's a serious thing, because whether anybody likes it or not, it would naturally create a hole that would take some little time to fill. But then, come to think of it, the issue of whether he has been properly treated or whether his zone has been fairly treated by the PDP. I'm not a member of PDP, I must say that. And I wouldn't know if there are some other internal arrangements they had which the PDP failed to keep faith with. But the truth is that we have always known the Southeast to be very loyal to the PDP, even up to the 2019 elections, when most of the remaining zones had obviously gone the way of the APC. They still stood by the PDP. I don't know what else he would have wanted. Of course, the issues are there. We're hearing from him. We're also hearing from the other side that he moved because of his personal political permutations and all of that. But like I did hear him say, what he said is that he's moving because it does appear as if even in 2023, the PDP appears not to be prepared to give the Southeast people a room. And that explains why he could move. It's a personal thing. Come to think of it again, each time we say that defection should be, our laws should be more stringent on the conditions under which one could defect. They always wave it away with the wave of hand. But here we are now, because they are the ones that are worst hit. They are crying very loud. That is what we are seeing now. We, the so-called smaller parties, have been at the vanguard of this call that our laws should be stronger and that there should be very strict
you actually raised that critical issue, and that's the question I would like you to address very quickly before I turn to Dr. Kachi. Do we have any laws that stops or that should prevent governors from defecting to other parties? How come we have that for federal lawmakers and the law seems to be silent on that of governors? What can be done about that very quickly?
It's strange. The windows we've had in the past for Electoral Act amendments as well as amendments to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have provided elaborately the conditions under which somebody who is elected on the platform could move. But how, in the wisdom of the then lawmakers, they restricted it only to federal lawmakers is still bizarre to some of us. But we are thinking that ordinarily, it should be applicable, not just to the members of the legislative arm of government, but also to the executive arm of government. The implication is simple. When you move, you relinquish your seat, under which, the ticket...
Right, just hold your thoughts there while we get the views of Dr. Kachi. Now, in all of these circumstances, should Umahi have lost his seat if we had laws that had addressed that?
Yes. The Electoral Act we have begged Buhari to sign. He does not seem available to progress the norms and the values, because I believe democracy is a collection of norms and values and legal conventions. But we have sought to progress those norms and values through the Electoral Act, and President Buhari has not been available. So that's why, for me, I actually laugh. You see, Umahi's jumping is not the issue.
I've been told that we just have to go on a
Yes.
very quick break. Just hold your thoughts.
Please.
We'll be back on that. You're still watching This Week. Plenty more still ahead. Welcome back to This Week. I'm Somna Sambo. Okay, let's talk more about some of the issues that you were talking about earlier on, electoral reforms and all of that.
Yes.
But in addition, I also want to ask you that in addition to the alleged injustices that the Southeast has always been crying about, which Governor Umahi has said, if the APC decides to zone the presidency to the Southeast, which some have said is the reason why Umahi is going there, will the party have been seen to have done justice to the alleged injustice that it had done by not appointing lots of top Southeast politicians to the federal government? Just like Abaribe said, that we have only a photographer at the presidency.
What Senator Abaribe was saying, it's not the APC versus the Southeast. It is Buhari's full employ of nepotism and extreme ethnic cleansing.
So you're saying the APC should be absolved
the APC
from the Buhari
should
presidency?
Become a Nigerian party. Buhari does not believe in Nigeria as he is progressing. The use of ethnic cleansing and nepotism is actually why a large section of Nigerians are excluded from whatever Buhari is doing, forcing the frustrations that you see on the streets as enters.
Is ethnic cleansing not a huge word, for you to use against the government?
When you cleanse people of other ethnicities of federal institutions and parastatals, you cleanse Baggies of lands in Plateau, cleanse Hausas upland in Kasena, Zamfara and Sokoto. You cleanse Biroms offland in Jos, and you continue to cleanse other people of positions. Just like you've seen now, Buhari got power through the APC, cleansed his partners from the Southwest. That's why you see him trying to rush to the Southeast to seek for new people into a burning vehicle. He had not done wrong to the Southeast. The APC, through Buhari's sways, has done wrong to the Nigerian people. So the right thing to do, retrace your step. Make your government a Nigerian government. The idea of you only see one ethnicity, and as Senator Abaribe said, you have only one Igbo man, a photographer at the villa. There is no inclusion. Buhari is not respecting our diversity is at the root of the problem.
All right. Let's have your view, Major. What exactly do you think the other remaining governors in the Southeast should be doing at the moment? Because there are also fears that Umahi may be going with some other governors to the APC. Do you think the APC will be a good home for all the governors of the Southeast? Do you think APC is presenting itself as a beautiful, beautiful bride that will deliver, the presidency to the Southeast, and you think it's something that should be received warmly by the leaders of that geopolitical zone?
Well, the situation is still an unfolding drama. What we are seeing from Ebonyi State presently is a situation where some are saying we're going with him, others are saying he's on his own and all of that. We're also hearing people saying that his thinking is not the thinking of the entire people of the zone, the state particularly. Well, as you and I know, based on statistics and based on results we've had from past elections, it does appear to me as if the other governors may not be going the way Umahi has gone. We all know that the southeast part of the country traditionally has been home to the PDP. And there is still very strong feelings amongst the people to remain within the PDP circle. The APC is a party that has been trying to make inroads into the southeast. As reflected in the results of the elections we saw in 2019, it does appear as if the remaining governors may not, or let me say emphatically, will not be prepared to go the way Governor Umahi has gone. That is my thinking, and that is what I think is going to be.
Take a look at the convergence of so many APC governors at the birthday celebration of former President Goodluck Jonathan yesterday. I mean, we saw Governor Umahi there himself and some other top APC leaders. There are these wild rumors making the rounds that former President Goodluck Jonathan is being asked to come back by the President Buhari wing of the APC to complete his tenure, and that it could also be seen as a way to assuage the southeast in one way or the other, since Jonathan had been claimed by some people to have a leg in the southeast, despite the fact that he's from the south. What do you make of this new reapproachment of Jonathan?
Well, we have been following the developments in that direction, and I know that first of all, the former President Jonathan that we all know, and we all followed when he was president. I believe strongly that, of course, politicians, there's nothing politicians don't conspire to do. There are indications, but then you must understand that one of the major challenges we're having as a country now is the rumor mill that is, they're exploiting the social media to attempt to enthrone. Most of these things are just mere rumors. That is the way I look at it. But then there's nothing that politicians wouldn't do at a point in time, depending on the circumstances that they find themselves. But I strongly believe that bringing president or attempting to bring former President Jonathan back will not be enough to assuage the feelings of the South people. Neither will it be able to assuage the feelings of the former president himself. I don't see him wanting to return under this kind of situation, because if you look at the circumstances under which he was taken out of power, remember at a point he said that,
just have your view on that before we move on to the next story. Very quickly, what do you think of APC's approach to Jonathan to join the party, just like they've done with Umahi?
It's not done with Umahi. Umahi is just a politician. He's not the structure of the party in Ebonyi. He's just alone. If he runs election tomorrow in Ebonyi on APC, he will lose. He doesn't have, as the gentleman said, APC is a natural, the Southeast is a natural hotbed of the PDP and its other twin, the ABGA. You cannot cheat my people and think you come to my zone and take one or two politicians to fool me. No, what Buhari is doing has gotten so deep into the foundations of the country that the young people are on the street doing NSAS. See, it's foolish to take politicians seriously when the country is actually on the edge. Now, look at the real crisis. There is discontent. Going to take Umahi, just like they did in Kaduna, can't you see the government does not have a holistic, intelligent reaction to the demands on the ground? It's not Umahi.
And not even Jonathan.
It's not even the PDP.
All right,
it's the country.
All right.
The country is right now boiling, and they are arresting young people, trying to intimidate them with court cases and account blockages that are not allowed.
All right, let's just move on to other issues now. These allegations that Mahmoud Yakubu, the INEC chairman who has been renominated, is actually bribing his way back to confirmation by the Senate. What do you make of the allegations? There were allegations that 3 billion naira was sent. The Senate president denied collecting 2 billion out of that 3 billion and all of that. What do you make of those spurious allegations according to the opposition?
I make nothing with the figures attached to it. Mahmoud is the worst in Nigeria's electoral history.
Really?
Yes.
What do
he
you
is
have
the
to
only one that
assertion?
instead of progressing the electoral performances, he brought it down.
In what way specifically?
When we introduced electronic voting and Jega brought the card reader, he achieved 54%. Mahmoud brought it down to 19%. So why would you give a second term to the man who failed abysmally? So there is something, he's not qualified at all.
So what would you
that
tell the Senate to do?
Not tell Senate, as you rightly said, that they are sharing money. If they
well,
are induced,
those are allegations.
No. If the allegations are right, that they are being induced with money, as like most things under the current Buhari administration, I would not be surprised.
All right, let's hear the views of Major. What do you make of that allegations against the INEC chairman nominee? Briefly.
Well, it's an allegation, like we all know. It's still being investigated. And sometimes when these huge figures are mentioned, I begin to wonder how possible it would be for somebody to commit such volume of money into bribing maybe 1 or 2 or 3 persons. 3 billion naira. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. So like I said, there are still mere allegations. I understand that investigations are about to be initiated. Why don't we wait until we get to know whether such money is actually moved from one point to the other or not? It's a serious allegation.
Right.
So,
thank you. Thank you for that. We just have to go on a very short break right now. You're still watching This Week on Arise News. Plenty more still ahead. Stay with us. This week, where we have the best of analysis and conversations, I'm Somna Sambo. The judicial panel investigating alleged sharp practices within Nigeria's anti-corruption agency, the EFCC, has presented its final report to President Muhammadu Buhari. The Justice Ayo Salami-led panel has in the last 5 months been probing the activities of the agency's former acting chairman, Ibrahim Magu, who was alleged to have misused his office and carried out unlawful dealings. The report presented is said to contain details of the finding from over 46 petitions received by the panel and over 100 testimonies that allegedly indicted the former EFCC boss. While receiving the report, President Buhari reiterated his administration's commitment to end endemic corruption in the system. Specifically, the president admitted that, in quote, there is corruption almost everywhere, at many levels of government and nearly every stratum of our society. End of quote. Buhari, however, hopes to see a Nigeria that has no tolerance for corruption.
Successive chairmen of the EFCC from inception have been drawn from the police. Therefore, in appointing a new chairman of EFCC, consideration should be given to candidates from other law enforcement or security agencies and core staff of the EFCC as provided in the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Establishment Act 2004.
Recognize that there are more grounds to cover in the war against corruption, and we are prepared to go out to possess those lands by cutting off any stream that nourishes the seed of corruption and supports its growth. Let it be known that in the fight against corruption, no one is too big to tackle, as no individual is bigger than the Nigerian state. In order to protect Nigeria's political and economic systems and the continuous existence of the Nigerian state from the serious threat of corruption, I call on all stakeholders, and indeed every Nigerian, to own the fight against corruption at their respective levels.
And I still have with me Dr. Kachi Ononuju, who is a political strategist, and from our Overflow Studios by Agbo Major, the acting national chairman of New Nigeria People's Party. Let's go straight to this issue of Magu, his suspension, and now it looks like we are in a post-Magu era. What do you make of this Salami's panel's recommendations? And of course, one of those things we've heard is that Magu should be sacked. Should he be sacked?
It's not for me or you to say if Magu is to be sacked. It's simply for those who brought him to decide. If they finish using him, they remove him and bring someone else.
So you believe he has been used all this while?
Well, but that's
Not
what
that he was discharging the functions of his office?
No, he was not discharging the functions of any office. As you can see from the report, all 4 of them had been from the police. All staff, policemen. So just an extended police station, and him, the DPO. And then that's why you saw him only prosecuting people that he is taught to use to recruit membership for the APC. Just like
those are just mere allegations, because you may not have facts to actually back this.
Well, because all they have done, Magu has not fought for corruption. Buhari has not been serious about fighting corruption. That's why corruption has become so endemic. Okay? So it's when a fish starts to go bad, it starts from the head. The government itself, because of the style of its leader, it's fundamentally a dishonest government, deceitful government, and it has irredeemably failed to manage our diversity. Why? Because it employs nepotism. Nepotism itself is the most violent form of corruption, and the ethnic cleansing. You cleanse other people and they are no more part. That is corruption. So if Buhari had been this corrupt, why would you expect anything different from what Magu did? Now, if you look at the report, he said the policy changes made sense. I agree. But would they listen? The report itself, what it says, consider other law-trained security agencies and try to use them to play against each other, to compete, to bring out the best.
Okay,
but you need to have a president that wants to fight corruption.
Okay, let's have the views of Major. Considering what Magu's lawyer said, that he believes that Magu will soon be vindicated based on the fact that Justice Ayo Salami's panel report did not clearly say that Magu had been, indicted and all of that. They were only just advising the president to look for a new EFCC chairman, probably outside the police, to ensure that the system is reduced from being totally made up of policemen. What do you make of Magu's lawyer's comments, and what do you think will be happening next to Ibrahim Magu?
Well, one of the things that gladdens my heart, because I've been following, since this report was submitted to Mr. President, I've been following it very closely. I haven't seen details of it yet, but from the feelers I'm getting, we seem to be heading towards the right place as far as the administration of EFCC is concerned. There's one thing we've always been talking about in this country. You don't train a security man and leave him to waste. Now, the EFCC as an agency has its properly trained operatives. Some of them have even risen up to the rank of director, assistant director, and all of that. It's bizarre that up till now, the operatives of the agency themselves, none of them have had the opportunity of becoming the chairman of the agency. What we've had in the past since its creation is a situation where only policemen and policewomen are appointed as chairmen of these agencies, when there are people who are clearly trained as EFCC operatives. So part of what I would want to, at the interim, applaud the judicial panel for is that recommendation. And I expect that the presidency should not joke with that. For the first time, they should be able to look inwards. Leave the police. Of course, lately, we've been beaming such light on the police force, and Nigerians seem to be getting to a position where they would be tempted to believe that there's something fundamentally wrong with the Nigerian police force in the area of corruption. So why will we continue to use the police? Why will we continue to use the police? On the aspect of what Magu's lawyer has said, yes, he could say that because the matter is still being looked into. What we have now is just a preliminary investigation report. It could be going to court. The government might decide to go to court if part of the recommendations is that they should go to court against Magu and all of that. So at the interim, that is the much or all that you can hear from the lawyer. He doesn't have any right to say anything more than that at the moment because nobody knows how the matter is going to end. We haven't seen details of the report. We do not also know whether the report says the matter should go beyond where it is now to a court of law for trial and all of that. So, but largely, I think we're heading towards the right direction. For the first time, I would want to urge this government to look deep inside and pick a chairman. Let us give the real operatives of the agency a chance. And let us see if we would have something that is completely different from what we've seen in the past. The police, of course, you and I know, they themselves have admitted lately with this searchlight that has been beamed on them that a lot of things are wrong in the area of corruption. So who knows if one or two of them that probably may have been sent there in the past, people who are, who have this tendency to, perpetrate corruption and all of that. So let us give the operatives of the agency who are specially trained, to do the job of the agency. Let's give them a chance and let's see if we would have a situation that is different.
Thank you. Let's take a look at Ibrahim Magu himself. There were lots of allegations that he diverted lots of funds and then some properties that were seized and all of that were used for personal purposes. Don't you think that this panel would have come out very clearly to tell Nigerians that they want the government to prosecute him in court, or that he should be let go because they did not find anything against him? Do you hope to see Ibrahim Magu being taken to court anytime soon?
If the government has the political will, they will take him to court. They wouldn't take just him. They will also take the ones before him. The reluting the loot has been an old practice. So if maybe in the reluting the loot, members of the government that appointed him are also partly guilty, it becomes difficult because he will sing. He's already been saying that some of the cars he seized, he sold to people at the presidency.
Well, some of the government build, some of
the properties that he took, he's also giving to government agencies.
Yeah, government agencies.
Good. So
of that.
if they have been doing those things,
justice would demand that he should be given an opportunity to be cleared or taken to court, because we're still like in a conundrum right now.
Well, that's what I'm telling you.
If he'll be cleared or if he's still indicted.
It's still a conundrum because he didn't seem to have committed a lot of these things alone. Yes, there are questions of, okay, you've shown us some, you've given us some. Where are the other ones that we kept asking you, make the paper? And that was the problem. Making a proper audit of monies in his custody has always been a problem. So, and that's why the Attorney General made that a very strong point, because the Attorney General's complaints kept reoccurring because of his inability to provide an audited version of all seized items in his custody. And when he could not produce this, that became the grounds for all sorts of persons to start following him, what he's doing, what he's not doing. Then when it came to the end of his day, they now stopped him. Look, the magic has been there. And once that's why I tell you, since they got him to use him to go after those that they want him to go after, and sometimes use him as he goes after
that's
them.
Always been the allegation for every year.
It's not the
even the PDP was alleged to have done that.
I agree with you. Under the PDP, president's enemies were targeted.
Yeah. So now let's talk about a new EFCC. Yes. The Justice Ayo Salami panel has recommended that a new EFCC chairman be appointed. What kind of pedigree do you expect the new EFCC chairman to have? And what do you think President Buhari's government should be on the lookout for when they are searching for that new guy or new lady who's going to take over that agency?
New and capable people are all over the place. The performance only depends on the briefs given. If they bring somebody who is good and they don't want that person to really fight corruption, they will continue to use him like they use Magu to be playing the window dressing. Go after those that they don't like. Go after those they want to bring into their party. When they come to you out of fear, you come in. You know, just like they also called the EFCC in the Ebony issue. Why? It was discovered that a lot of the contracts the governor gave to his own personal companies. So there were a lot of dirty things Kuche had him. So that's why I didn't blame him for moving to where other PDP members have gone before because of the EFCC.
Okay.
So you understand? If the EFCC can be removed from chasing our members into APC, that would be a good way to start. We
don't have enough time. Let me hear the views of Major on that. What should be the pedigree of the new EFCC chairman that Nigeria is looking for at the moment? In 1 minute.
Well, these things, they are not written on the faces of anybody. Of course, that this man is clean, that this one is not clean, cannot be ascertained when you look at somebody's face. But what we want is somebody who is committed, somebody who is honest, and somebody who is patriotic and who would want to ensure that this job is done to the latter. Somebody who will not be available to be used politically to go after those whose faces the government of the day does not like. What we are saying is that it should be a thoroughbred, and I still insist that the person should be coming from within the system. The person should be raised from within the operatives of the agency. And that's the only way we can make progress in the agency. That's what I think.
Also watching this week, plenty more still to come. Stay with us. Come back to this week where we have the best of analysis and conversations. I'm Somna Sambo. President-elect Joe Biden has accused President Trump of brazenly damaging democracy in his continued refusal to accept defeat. Mr. Biden said Mr. Trump will go down in history as being one of America's most irresponsible presidents as he continues to try to change the outcome of the election through fraud claims. So far, court after court has rejected Mr. Trump's continued accusations of voter fraud. But his administration has refused to recognize Joe Biden as the winner, blocking him and his transition team from funding and office space, as well as from receiving classified briefings. Speaking after a call with state governors, Mr. Biden said he is not concerned that Mr. Trump's refusal to concede the election will prevent a transfer of power, but said it sends a horrible message about what America represents as a country. Let's take a listen to him.
I'm on my way. That's what I say to them, not a joke. And what the president's doing now is really it's going to be another incident where he will go down in history as being one of the most irresponsible presidents in American history. It's just out of the, not even within the norm at all. There's questions whether it's even legal. But it's going to be interesting to see who shows up in this call to meet with the leadership. And this is going to, we've won Michigan. It's going to be certified. We're going to end up making clear that they are, making clear that we won. And but it just, it's hard to fathom how this man thinks. And it's hard to fathom. I'm confident he knows he hasn't won and is not going to be able to win, and we're going to be sworn in on January 20th. And I just, you know, but far from me to question his motive. It's just outrageous what he's doing.
And I still have with me Dr. Kachi Ononuju, who's a political strategist, and from our Overflow Studios by Agbo Major, the acting national chairman of New Nigeria People's Party. Let's have a view on Trump's behavior. He seems to be making America look like it's playing third world politics. I mean, one would think that Mr. Trump seems to be paying back the Democrats for the allegations that they had against him in 2016 of an alleged Russian interference. What do you make of Trump's behavior?
Yes, that's all he's doing. He thinks the Russia probe delegitimized his win.
Interesting.
Okay, so he's now giving it back to them. But this is not new from Trump. This is who Americans are.
But it looks like third world politics.
No, it's not true. It's not true. Trump is an American, and those that he riles up are Americans. That's the hidden part of the U.S. that has been managed through the American century. Only recently the people get the right to vote. So Trump has stirred up and given acceleration to that was hidden. But because it is a society lucky to have very strong institutions, it stays, and what Trump is doing becomes a child's play, which is allowed by law. Uses the law to try to sketch around what the law allows, and then try to get silly, but he would not stop it. If by Thursday, full certifications come from Michigan, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, the General Services Administration would be forced by law to face towards Biden. So Trump could still be fighting. It is his right to make noise. Nobody stops a young boy from crying if his toy is removed from him.
Oh, all right. Major, one would think that America has lost its democratic credentials, especially considering that we in Africa here are always being prodded by Americans whenever we have our elections, and it's almost like a school teacher trying to teach a schoolboy how to behave under a democratic system. What do you make of Trump's behavior, considering what America has always represented over the years?
Thank you. That's a very good question. My thoughts are the same as yours. In fact, it's worrisome and quite disheartening that the American democracy that has been a cynosure, that has been a point of reference for so many other democracies across the world, is today being ridiculed, is today being brought into disrepute. We have a situation where elections were conducted. We understand, because some of us have gone there repeatedly. We've seen how the system works. We know very clearly that for you to be able to manipulate elections in the United States, you need to be a high-tech manipulator. What we are trying to say is this: the system itself is so knitted together that before you can get in there, before you can perforate it, to be able to, undermine it, it's very, very difficult. But like you said in your opening remarks, it does appear as if Trump is only trying to give back to the Democrats what the Democrats gave to him when he was elected. But the most unfortunate thing in all of this unfolding drama is that their democracy is being ridiculed. And those of us who have looked up to them in the past, a democracy that has thrived and flourished for over 200 years, we have lost our respect for them. What I would expect them to do, I don't know what else somebody who believes in democracy would be looking for. The Electoral College votes, the difference is quite clear. Even the popular votes, the difference is quite clear. If you want to challenge a process that you think is not sane enough or is not clean enough, it doesn't mean that you have to hold the whole process down. You have the right, to explore judicial angle to it. You have the right to question whatever you think isn't being properly done.
All right, we're on the last lap of the program now, and I want to have your views on what you think a Biden presidency will mean for Africa as we await January 20th when he will be inaugurated. Very brief.
Well, under President Obama, their foreign policies towards Africa was quite robust in terms of restrictions, entry restrictions or thereabout into their country and all of that. But we saw a more racist Trump when he came on board. The first thing he did was to slam visa ban on a couple of countries under reasons that one simply cannot imagine. We see a repeat of the flourishing relationship, the smooth relationship, the robust relationship between Africa and the Obama administration repeating itself in the case of a possible Biden presidency. And that will be a great thing for the African continent. So every African should be praying that
before we actually go. What do you
right
think of a Biden presidency, considering that Nigeria and Nigeria, Africa, and the U.S. have always had very smooth relations when it comes to governance and all of that? What do you foresee of his presidency?
I think the Biden presidency is expected by all the world. Turn America to multilateralism. Trump doesn't like globalists, okay? But the world is not ready to lose America's leadership. Trump has no right to abandon the world. And that's why a lot of the world were very, very uncomfortable with Trump. He got out of the WTO.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm saying that it looks more of like a conspiracy against his administration.
He got, no, it's not a conspiracy.
Like a global conspiracy against him.
America spent 70 years building the multilateral American century. Trump, with no warning, started damaging everything, getting out of the climate agreement, getting out of the most evasive UN negotiated monitoring regime on the Iran nuclear issue. Trump was very dangerous. So I believe Biden will seek now to reassure the world that America is back to lead. This became the first time in my life when the world was moving and nobody was asking for America's leadership. That's very, very dangerous. I believe, for the past years since 1945,
very quickly, because we
the
have
multilateral world America built is the reason we've not gone to another major world war.
All right. That's very good. Thanks so much, Dr. Kachi Ononuju, a political strategist who is very versed in international and local affairs. And then, of course, my guest at the offsite studio, Major Agbo, who has been very wonderful. I mean, he's the acting chairman of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. That's it for this edition of This Week. With me, Somna Sambo. Please keep it here on the Rise News. I'm from the entire team here in Abuja, Lagos, and London. Goodbye, and thank you for watching.